And this afternoon, we're paying attention to the Electoral Commission because domestic election observers are calling for the immediate resignation of two individuals appointed to the electoral management body. The group CODEO says that Dr. Appiahene and Salima Hajia, who were recently appointed to the EC, would have to relinquish that position based on a number of activities and pieces of evidence that connects these individuals to the governing New Patriotic Party. And the reason for which CODEO is making that argument is found in this redacted document that you have on your screens right now, pointing out what their concerns are. First of all, CODEO is indicating that contrary to views expressed in certain quarters, that the designation of the president as the appointing authority subject to the advice of the Council of State, it does not mean that the president can go ahead and appoint party politicians and is free to appoint anyone at all to the EC, especially when they are persons who are known to have partisan connections or affiliation, which will create an apparent conflict of interest in the performance of their duties as an independent, non-partisan electoral commission. Now, beyond that, in light of the foregoing, CODEO is indicating that in their considered view and position, they believe that the appointment of the independent and non-partisan EC of persons who are known partisan persons or who may have some affiliation or clouds over them and their heads is inconsistent with the spirit of the Constitution. Furthermore, such appointments actually risk undermining the cross-party and public trust and confidence in the Electoral Commission. That's posed a danger to our evolving multi-party democracy. So here are the concerns in respect of these two individuals that CODEO is asking for some immediate actions on. And the first person is Dr. Appiahini. Dr. Peter Appiahini, since the announcement of his appointment, according to CODEO, as the member of the Electoral Commission, they found social media postings that have revealed that Dr. Appiahini is, quote, an activist of the New Patriotic Party in the Bono region. In one of the social media comments, for instance, from the January 2021, headed Dr. Appiahini for Bono Regional Minister. Dr. Appiahini is featured on an NPP labeled flyer as one of the 6 prospects for the position of the Bono Regional Minister. Beyond that as well, they're raising some concerns about the other individual involved here, which they explained at a news conference earlier today. Listen to one of the leading figures of CODEO express their concerns.
We are painfully aware that voluntary and constitutionally grounded revocation of these unfortunate and democratically problematic EC appointments by the President is extremely unlikely. However, nothing stops affected appointees, namely Dr. Peter Appiahene and Hajia Salima Tijani, from voluntarily and honorably resigning from membership of the EC. This will be in the supreme interest of our country's continued democratic progress, election peace and credibility, and indeed the overall national interest. While both Dr. Appiahene and Madam Salima Tijani meet the generic benchmark qualification stipulated under Article 44(1), that is the same qualification one must satisfy to be a member of Parliament, we believe strongly that, having regard to the independent and non-partisan nature of our Electoral Commission and its mandate, the spirit of the Constitution demands far more in the way of one's suitability to be a member of the EC. We accordingly call on Dr. Peter Appiahene and Hajia Salima Tijani to do the honorable thing and resign.
Well, let's get more on this. Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent, has been observing, of course, the concerns being raised by the domestic election observers. He joins us in studio now on a number of some unfolding issues that we're also learning of. Kweku, let's talk about the second individual, apart from Dr. Appiahene, who's in hot waters as we speak, from the perspective of the domestic election observers. Who is this individual and what's the peculiar concern about the individual involved?
So this is Hajia Salima Tijani, and according to CODEO and the kind of research that they have done, CODEO is saying that there are known persons around her who are known NPP persons, for which reason they believe that if she goes to the Electoral Commission, it pains the Electoral Commission in a certain light. Let me read some of the things they say. They say, for instance, that the father and the mother have all been either national executive or regional executives of the New Patriotic Party, and that's not augur well for the independence and impartiality of the Electoral Commission. Let's listen to what CODEO had to say about that also.
Since the announcement of his appointment as a member of the EC, social media postings have revealed that Dr. Appiahene is an activist of the New Patriotic Party in the Bono region. In one social media comment on January 2021 headed Dr. Appiahene for Bono region, Dr. Appiahene is featured on an NPP labeled flyer as one of the 6 prospects for the position of the Bono regional minister. The commenter who put up that post states that the Bono region and the NPP party need much more energetic and vibrant leadership to help make the region to the desired goals, to take the region to the desired goals, and urges all to rally behind Dr. Appiahene for the Bono region minister to achieve more. In other social media video clip that has gone viral since his appointment, Dr. Appiahene is seen and heard participating in a radio program Anopa Nimdie Juaso on Nimdie FM 95.1 Sunyani as a self-identified NPP partisan and activist in the Bono region, and naming one Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abrenye DC, as the chairman. Predictably, the appointment of Dr. Appiahene has generated a heated public debate in both mainstream and social media. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, has denounced the appointment, while the NPP has defended it. Internet searches and other social media exchanges since the announcement on her appointment have revealed additional relevant information about Madam Salima Tijani. She is said to be married to one Sheikh T.B. Damba, a leading member of the NPP, who was formerly the second national vice chairman of the party and served as Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia from 2017 to 2021. Madam Salima Tijani's mother, that's Hajia Samata Gifty Bukari, was the first elected woman, first vice chairperson of the NPP in the northern region, while her sister, Hajia Abibata Shani Mahama Zakaria, who is currently the CEO of Microfinance and Loans Center, MASLOC, contested the 2020 NPP primaries in the Yendi constituency and has already publicly announced her intention to contest again for the Yendi seat in 2024. Madam Salima Ahmed Tijani's multiple close familial relationships with leading and active NPP figures raise apparent conflict of interest concerns, and for that matter, a legitimate perception and appearance of a lack of independence.
Okay then, Kweku, so that's it about the 2 individuals, but there's an overarching claim about how this is likely to affect the Electoral Commission itself.
Indeed, according to CODEO, and they've been referencing Afrobarometer report and surveys in recent times, that has pointed out a waning in terms of trust and confidence and the abilities of the Electoral Commission to conduct free and fair elections. So they talk about Afrobarometer report, which currently states that about 10%, only 10% of Ghanaians fully trust the Electoral Commission to be able to undertake such elections. So let's listen to CODEO as they say that such appointments goes further to deepen that chasm between the people's trust and the EC's ability to do their work.
Afrobarometer surveys have recorded declining levels of public trust in the EC. Trust ratings for the EC have shown a steady decline since 2008. In 2004, close to half, that's 48% of Ghanaians trusted the EC. The EC's trust ratings reduced by 8 points to 40% in 2008. In 2012, this dropped drastically to 27%. The Commission's trust rating continued to trend downward in 2014, decreasing that year to 18%. The EC's trust ratings saw a boost in 2017 to 25%, but still significantly lower than its previous years. The slight increase in trust ratings for the EC was unfortunately short-lived. In 2019, trust in the Commission dropped to 21%, and in 2022, the most recent survey, public trust in the EC dropped to an all-time low of 10%. Trust in the EC is too important for our democratic and social peace and stability. Remain this low or get worse. Ladies and gentlemen, building and sustaining trust and confidence in an election management body is a delicate.
Fortunately for us, Reverend Deegbe is joining us via Zoom. Thank you, sir, for your time here on the poll. So these are concerns that you have with individuals who have been appointed by the president. Per the Constitution, is there any critical violation for which you're asking for their resignation?
Thank you for having me. There's really no critical point to say that they should not serve. But we're just appealing to them, their own good conscience, and also looking at the history of what we've gone through and where we are now in terms of the percentage of people who have an interest in election, where the percentages are 10%. That do not augur well for them. Justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. And perceptions are important as far as politics is concerned and elections are concerned.
And I see in your statement that most of the issues that you refer to, for instance, are matters that you picked up from social media. We're in the age where, of course, there could be misinformation on these platforms. Have you gone a step further to check the veracity or otherwise of these pieces of information that you're picking on the internet?
Yes, we have. And if we've gone, or since we've gone public, if there's any evidence to the contrary, and we are shown that evidence, we'll be the first to admit that we are wrong. But as far as we know, we have put this out there because we are sure of it. It's out there. Anybody can do a Google search and find some of these things on the internet as well. If there's a cloning or there's some other AI infiltration somewhere, we are told, we'll be glad to say we are wrong. But as of now, we think we are right.
3 individuals were appointed. Why 2, by the way?
Well, the third one, we do not have anything really against her appointment. So we are not just going out there to do a block rejection of 3 people who have been appointed. We are saying the 2 who we are advising to advise themselves, they have question marks around them, not only by us, the elected, those who observe, but by public here and there. And therefore, if the third one has nobody objecting to it, we don't have any reason to say because she's been appointed, she must go.
Yeah,
no.
But this incident reminds us of what transpired when the EC chairperson herself was appointed. Claims were made that she has connections and affiliations to the governing New Patriotic Party, yet the EC chairperson delivered the 2020 elections and all the political parties participated in the process. Don't you believe that we'll get to a point where everyone will be over this?
We hope so. That's what we all hope for. But when it's becoming more and more obvious that it's becoming one too many or two too many, then we have to say, please, let's look at this again. We know that sometimes the political parties are quick to say this and that and cry wolf when there's no cry wolf. But when the evidence of the 2 that we are talking about is so much out there, then we advise that they should advise themselves, because that evidence, as we were just saying, is in the public media, And why would we go that route when there are so many other Ghanaians who qualify to play that role? We just want to ensure that those picked up by the president to do this work for us, to serve the nation, are the best we can, because we are not saying they shouldn't have their own political leanings, but it should not be so obvious that you are so tarnished or you are so partisan that nobody will even look at you, because they can identify clearly that they are on this side of the political divide.
What is the biggest fear of CODEO? And there are constitutional remedies that you could take advantage of. There's the process of impeachment, which could be triggered by the Chief Justice through the office of the President who did this appointment. Why not making or taking advantage of that route?
Well, we think that's a very long process. The most honorable thing, you see, for instance, the President is supposed to have done this on the advice of, in consultation with the Council of State. We don't have that benefit of it now. Now, what we have is whether it was done or not, but what we do know now is what is in the public domain. So the easiest thing is to ask those who have been mentioned, look, this is what we're finding out about you. This is what some Ghanaians are saying about you. We advise that you step down. If they don't, then we'll see what else we'll do. Or just like for argument's sake, if we are wrong and there's evidence to the contrary, then we will advise ourselves as well. So we don't have the evidence. And unlike previous people who were appointed, the president will come with a list of their qualifications, their background, and all that caused him to have confidence in saying these people are qualified to have public office. We do not have any evidence as far as these people are concerned. And before we could say, Jack, they've been sworn into office. So it's as if the die is cast. But if it is, then this is what we are seeing. Mr. President, Ghanaians, this is what we have out there. Let's put it out there as people who are interested in the peace of this nation. The three member bodies who have been working for the peace of this country are saying, no, we don't think this is right. But let's take a second look at it.
Perhaps in the observation of Sam, the president saw this coming, a reason for which he made these statements when, of course, he was swearing in these three individuals, that the elections or the outcome of the election is not dependent on coalition, and that the vote of each and every citizen is what would determine the outcome. What's your response to that?
That is not completely true. If election observers, whether it is domestic or international, were not important, we wouldn't be having them. If collation and pink sheets and all those things are not important, we will not be having them. So have we ever had the 240,000 and over polling station results published in this nation? Do we? Is there any record anywhere for us to show that this is what our election results are? So we say those things. Yes, elections are won at the polling station. People must be vigilant. But when push comes to shove, we want to see the ultimate record, the compilation of all of these things. And the accuracy is important. There have been times when mathematical problems, subtraction and addition, have caused problems and they've been rectified. And election results have been varied, not just in this country, but elsewhere. So if he foresaw it and he cautioned us, well, we also want to say that other nations have gone through such difficulty. It is not only, nobody lives in a village now. We live in a global village.
Right.
And therefore, what we do, if we have the figures to show that you've done the right thing by anybody's standard, you stand a better chance of getting people to applaud your democracy.
Right.
Than say it's not won by observers or those who have nothing to say or do.
Okay, just before I let you go, briefly deal with this for me. If Dr. Appiahini and Hajia do not tender in their resignation because we've gone past the appointment, what will happen and what is CODEO likely to do about this?
There are three member bodies, and we try to answer that at our press conference. We will confer again and see what we can do. We've thrown it out there to the larger Ghanaian public to think together and to see that this has an implication for us as a nation. Election is still a long time away. and our referees are being gathered, if we see that there's something that may not help us and we put it out there. We are all Ghanaians, we are all fellow citizens. Let us not just play the ostrich. Let's talk about it and decide what to do. And the next steps will be, as are deemed appropriate by these observer bodies, would be taken.
We'll see you again, Reverend Dr. Fred Deegbe. Thank you for spending some time with
pleasure.
us. I want to bring in now Dr. Asal Santi, political scientist at the University of Ghana. Thank you, Doc, for your time. Clear case of concerns of mistrust, and also it borders on the integrity of the individuals that have been appointed to fill the vacancies at the Electoral Commission. For you, should these two individuals simply resign and solve this impasse?
I think it is not out of touch for they themselves to do the honorable thing by resigning. I did indicate when they were appointed, and I talk about Dr. Appiahene, that he should honorably go out. Now, another evidence has come to the fore, which suggests that the woman should also what? One of the women should also join. You see, elections are believed or not believed based on the integrity of it. And the integrity are mostly driven by the managers of the process. If you have managers that their presence are questionable, I'm afraid you are likely to have a problem. All right? They have not committed any crime. By that, we are saying that given their association with the MPP as a party, and giving their the public exposed partisan exposed nature of them, we expect that they don't sit on a board that is supposed to be neutral and administer issues or justice to all parties that are in the same political playing field. If you do otherwise, you are likely to compromise the process, and if the person that consider it or take it with a pinch of salt. In order to what? Take this thing out of the equation, we are saying that they should step down. This is important so that you save the integrity of the election. Election is only driven by integrity. Imagine those who don't believe that they should go, they think that, it's not specific, prevent them from that. Imagine this appointment, the president elected Mr. Mohammed's son to be on the board. Do you think the MPP would agree to this? These are the things you must look at for, all right? And then do the needful. After all, we are building a society that is just and fair. An election is something that we cannot toy with because it defines the focus and direction of the country. And that things of this nature are likely to undermine the credibility and integrity of elections.
And once again, I'm reviewing the constitutional construct of the level at which we consider the EC chairpersons to be. And it's similar to, of course, justices of the superior courts of the land. That's the construct the Constitution is giving to these individuals. But then again, we've seen, even at the Supreme Court, persons who are politically affiliated taking there, and they do deliver justice if we believe that that's the case. So why should the Electoral Commission be the exception?
We are saying that if you look at the commission, as I gave you the scenario, imagine you have put John Mohammed's son as chairman of a commission. One of the parties will rejoice, others may not. And would it bode well for a body that is expected to be neutral? All right. Yes, neutrality. If you look at, you compare it with the Supreme Court, yes, we expect neutrality, but we expect what? The law. It's more of law, that you apply the law to the facts before you. Here, your action, your ability to even handle some issues the way you carry yourself, they are all a function of the process, and it can undermine, the process. So we are saying that not only the law, but your action, everything, even supply of materials at the right time. If there is even a delay, and it's a genuine delay, people can read political meanings into it. So this one is more volatile, all right, because it deals with not only law, but action, and inaction can also cause a whole lot of problem.
We need to go.
The slightest of of settings.
Right, we need to go. Yeah, just complete that point.
Rearing their ugly heads in the system will create problems for us, and that is why people have begun to raise the alarm bells.
Okay, Doc, we need to go, but very, very quickly, should the president be taking blame for what's happening now?
Well, obviously, he is the appointing authority. So we believe that this decision is totally wrong, and that the president has opportunity to withdraw them, right? If it is wrong, we need to call it as such. It is absolutely wrong. Because you see, once you make such appointment, right, and it passes, even if the election goes on smoothly, you now set the stage for other government to come in and also appoint more politically exposed people into the commission. And at the end of the day, you undermine the neutrality, which is supposed to be inherent in that body to decide their duty with that sense of neutrality. You've taken it off. So we don't want a precedent to be set so that it opened the floodgates for future, decisions taken in that regard. I think the president has to withdraw them, or they themselves must put down their seat and say that we are okay. We have understood the concerns of the public for the sake of stability, for the of transparency, and all there is to a free and fair election. We are prepared to stay away, and the president filled the gap with another two persons.
And if nothing happens, what happens to 2024 elections?
Well, nobody knows, but you have staged the stage for all manner of doubts within the system. So should something go wrong, I will not be surprised that people will stand on that and say, "Oh, yeah, who told you so?" And that can create difficulties for us. And I'm not sure that is what we want. We've been able to build a very solid democracy. It's not perfect, but we've been able to weather the storm. And then within the sub-region, we are praised for that democratic transition we have been able to undertake from time to time, especially where we've been able to, political parties have been able to hand over power to to opposition parties successfully without any problem. That is a credential that we don't want to dent it at all. Democratic credentials are difficult to come by. So if you spend all your time developing and building structures that are able to give you some semblance of stability and the rest of them, you don't want to spend any day or minute to destroy it. It is difficult to build. We have come this far, and people have fought through thick and thin to establish a meaningful democracy, a democracy that all of us are proud of, and we don't want any decision to undermine the very fortunes that we have worked for.
I'm grateful, Dr. Kwame Asante. Thank you for joining us, political scientist at the University of Ghana.